Dear friends, all the political parties, social organizations, casteist and communal forces in India have been observing December 6th as the death anniversary and April 14th as the birth anniversary of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar throughout the length and breadth of the country. What is interesting is this: whether these parties or social organizations are attached to the teachings and speeches of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar or not, so as to garner the votes of the Dalits in their favor. They have been observing this date so as to attract the Dalit votes in their political millage. What is interesting is this: the appropriation of B.R. Ambedkar remains central to the current regime trying to make inroads in Dalit electorate. In this connection, it is appropriate to record herein that Ambedkar is celebrated just as a constitutionalist instead of his political philosophy towards the core principles of the Indian Constitution. His comprehensive viewpoints have been greatly explained by Professor Valir Ralan Rodriguez in his book titled Ambedkar's Political Philosophy. For the benefit of the viewers, I read out this verbatim. I quote: one of the other contributions of this book is that the author makes Ambedkar accessible. This is not because Ambedkar is difficult to read, but because he wrote so much about his life throughout his lifetime. The author draws upon a variety of sources within Ambedkar's own works as well as the works about Ambedkar to give a comprehensive overview on Ambedkar's take on political concepts like representation, power, concepts like untouchability, democracy, religion, nationalism, etc. All of this is undergirded by his moral view of human nature that given the right kind of sociality, even the worst of us are capable of reform, and even the most wretched can improve their conditions. In a world obsessed with nationalism, the author shows us that Ambedkar's idea of nationalism was connected to a larger questions of justice and fraternity and was irreducible to mere makers of essentialized identity like race, religion, territory, etc. The institutional architecture of operationalizing nationalism has to be carefully thought through, especially when it comes to the question of representation. Otherwise, all nationalism and electoral democracy yield a brute majoritarianism which reinscribes dominant narratives of the norm. In other words, in its important to have a politico moral ideas of politics which he understands that strategic moves do not necessarily mean corrosive instrumentalism. That is, instead of approaching the teachings and writings of Baba Sahib Ambedkar as a destructive philosophy, the core principles that have been enshrined in the Indian Constitution and in the teaching and speeches of selected works of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar should be taken into account in its originality, not by the views or the observations of these things by the political parties or social organization. What is interesting is this: the teachings and the speeches of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar should be taken to the entirety of the masses in order to establish an egalitarian society in India. This is the message of this video. Thank you so much.